So, the whole review by Red Letter Media. Should I go and start with that? The facts and the quotes. Let's talk about other stuff. I didn't think, he said a little bit, J Bone said a little bit that he got some of the atmosphere and stuff like the Roy Batty character that he enjoyed and would have preferred as main character. I felt like even the Red Letter Media Plinkett Star Wars reviews about Luke Skywalker, those characters aren't that interesting either. Marty McFly's Luke Skywalker's, those aren't that much more interesting than Deckard. The visual effects of course, excellent. Visual effects aren't just visual effects. They establish a setting, story pieces, etc. They tell so much of the story of the world, this dystopian world, with commercialism, with robot humans, with robot animals, etc. The whole blimp with the geisha and stuff, artificial eyes, which pretty much are probably done now, I would imagine. If not, they would just have organic eyes or cloned eyes or something by now. Atmosphere, the steam, the rain, that's done very well. They mentioned Ridley Scott's background as a commercial director. Well, the 1984 Apple commercial was very well done and received. One of the best commercials of all time, it was believed. And that was in terms of story, not just because of whatever. And they do discuss a little bit about the whole God machine stuff. And that's pretty much the interesting stuff. That's Ridley Scott. Let me just get past this house and we'll discuss a little more about it. For New Yorker, I walk very slow. Oh, this summer. This is dystopian Blade Runner New York City 2019. It's 2017 now. It'd be really cool if the Blade Runner film was in 2019. Second Blade Runner film. Interesting if the second Blade Runner film was in China instead of Japan. They do mention how the whole Blade Runner thing is like Prometheus, where it's like gods creating humans who create machines, and there's all this machinery. There's the whole virus thing that, I'm going to say this, the whole virus thing that Agent Smith says in The Matrix, I never really thought about the reference to how there were viruses, because we create stuff that isn't actually from our own species. I mean, that's pretty much Ridley Scott stuff. The whole dystopian, poor, dystopian diversity, fears of machines thing. Like, I felt like he didn't really do the Philip K. Dick thing, although I do understand, because I don't think it's like a Paul Thomas Anderson or Palme d'Or-ish aspect of creating characters, like a drama or something that Jay Bowman likes and wants from Blade Runner. It's about these big ideas. It's sort of like Star Trek The Next Generation for me. I think Michael Sokolowski like The Next Generation. I'm not sure about Jay Bowman, but Star Trek: The Next Generation has a lot of technical babble, a lot of plot holes, a lot of simple stories, but big ideas, which I didn't appreciate until now thinking about Blade Runner. Like science, diversity, traveling, and dangers as a result of all those things. Like that stuff bothered me because of simplicity, like characters not knowing what anti-time is, even though it's pretty much in the word. That's way worse than like Rick Deckard not being a good detective when it could be because of him being a replicant. There's a lot of interesting stuff about being a replicant. I think one of the problems, there's a lot of stuff they misquoted, which I'll get into later, but part of the problem about the whole Deckard being a replicant thing is that Ridley Scott said, it is true that Ridley Scott said that Rick Deckard is a replicant. I think he did that because of the whole God machine human thing. Like, they create whatever, your memories are fake, you're not really a human, you think you're a human, that kind of very existential stuff. And that's interesting. But there's stuff like that, like they mentioned before, like they act like robots, so they have to be replicants. That's centered throughout the film. And there's bad stuff too, like in the theatrical version where they have the dub, the ADR dub, and like it pretty much explains everything about how the film works. Like, oh, he did that because I gotta tell you everything you're supposed to know about how he felt about the film, even though you couldn't figure it out by yourself. Still, very impressive first film by Ridley Scott. Although I do hear in the special edition, 30th anniversary edition work print disc, that there was a lot of problems with the film, like the stunt double continuity error, the ADR continuity error where stuff just didn't match up in the theatrical version. In that respect, it sounded like a really terrible film. But Final Cut, a lot better. I don't know, I'm just gonna say it now because it's on my mind. I don't know if the whole legend unicorn thing was actually why Ridley Scott put it in, and whether it was filmed for Legend or whether it was filmed for Blade Runner. According to some people, even in the comments, they said it was in the book that I own, and they've read that the other guy who's not Jay Bowman in the video said the person didn't say that's what happened in the film. In addition, that quote about the Beavis and Butthead thing, I've never heard of. People are assuming that Red Letter Media is a news source, and that it might be true, but there's been no citation of it. No one's looked it up. They're just reading what Red Letter Media said and assume that they're saying it true. Even though they're not really a news source, they're comical, they're sarcastic, and they're entertainers. Sometimes they do good research, but I've just never heard this quote. It's not really well established. And I just don't think that Ridley Scott would have said, Beavis and Butthead, I'm Ridley Scott, bitches. Yo, yo. I created Blade Runner. I'm a big deal. Except with curse words. That would be a lot more, yeah. I'm smart, douchebag. But anyway, yeah, I don't think, although he might have said that Ridley Scott likes Beavis and Butthead or whatever, I'm not even going to quote directly because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it just seems so out of place and un-Ridley Scottish that I don't think it's actually said. And I said this before during the misinterpretation of the Chinese box office information on The Mummy, that they're not news articles, and I could be critical of that, but I really don't care, because I like what they do observationally. They've done so many good hits with critical reception, such as even the reception that they don't like the Rick Deckard character, because I can agree with that, even though I think it's like a Luke Skywalker, Martin McFly, Fish Out of Water character that they, or at least Mike Stoklasa might have enjoyed. Like, I mean, they're better than most reviewers. Some people only like them for entertainment. Some people use them for only news source and don't bother to look up citations and just assume everything they say is true, even though they might be sarcastic or lying or both, which they might have done to test or not test or just to mess with us. But it's not on their site where the article is, and no one's linked it from what I've seen in the comments. So, or if the article was from a credible source, or even saying where they got the source or the article from. Like Jay Bowman just showed up with a piece of paper which we couldn't read or tell who the source was from voice or audio spec or whatever, and everyone assumed it was real. I would expect a lot more thumbs down because of that view. I mean, I don't really think that highly of the Red Letter Media community anyway, because they just want Plinkett and assume everything they do is good and like terrible jokes or jokes that aren't funny, such as a car going by during a commentary on Red Letter Media. Anyways, Blade Runner really good for theme and stuff. I really certainly read Philip K. Dick myself. I really couldn't get into it, so I can't blame them. But, like, it's true, you know, like, Ridley Scott did what he did very well, but he didn't make Rick Deckard a very interesting character and didn't really develop the replicants, I'll agree. But it's still a really good film. Theme, setting, I mean, when you read a book, theme is very interesting. How you write is very interesting. There's a lot of elements that make a book interesting. I don't know if everyone from Red Letter Media's fans have written about this article or video knowing about theme or care about theme. Like, they might just be people who are watching YouTube and want to be entertained. They don't care about literary devices. They just want to complain of the 20,000th time they've watched Batman vs. Superman, the theatrical cut, and not the original cut that Zack Snyder watched. They don't watch Palme d'Or films. They watch schlock. Hollywood schlock and not indie schlock. They're all horrible people. Leave Ridley Scott alone with white shirt and everything. All my emotions. All my taint.